for joining the live stream or watching the recording. I'm all yours today again for open Q&As about anything you want to know about moving to the Czech Republic or living here. So everything from all the different visa related issues or matters to housing related matters, to health insurance related matters, business related matters, or just like life in the Czech Republic related matters. And I'll be answering your questions live. Usually it takes, 2 minutes before people start joining, start asking first questions, and then we get further and further, and then I usually end up talking for an hour and then I go home and sleep. And you are at home in most cases, I think, and you probably don't go to sleep because you watch from all around the world, where it might not be that late, or it might be even later, so it's not even worth going to sleep. At 10 food, hey, thank you for joining. Nur Hayati R, hello Jan, happy summer. It's getting warmer and I'm complaining. Haha, that's a great sign that you've been here long enough. And if you don't have Czech citizenship, you should apply for it now because you'll for sure get it. Like, complaining is a typical Czech thing, let's say. So if you do that already, then you deserve the citizenship. Education Academy UDR. Hey, you still awake? Yes, today, yes. Because one of our colleagues will be giving birth soon. So actually Monday will be her last day on the job. So we had like a goodbye party for her today. And I just came back from there. I'm doing a live stream for you and then I'll go to sleep. Wasim Yahuni, I have an international bank card to another bank account, but not related to the bank statement that I will deposit for the long-term visa. Is it gonna be accepted? What do you think, man? You have a bank account where you have money, and then you have a bank card to a bank account where you don't have money. What do you think? I don't think that matters that it will be accepted, because you should have a debit card linked to the account you're using for your proof of funds. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Might still work out if someone doesn't care at the Ministry of the Interior, but generally it makes no sense to use a card for an account where you don't have money. Nur Hayati, haha, good one. I will work towards Czech citizenship. Definitely do, because this is the primary requirement. Sophie, hi, I'm new. Hi, new. How are you, new? Yeah, just kidding. This is a live stream about moving to Czech Republic or living here. So if you have any questions, Sophie, about any of the related topic, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. Chamuki Bazuki, when is the next weird live? Well, you liked it, right? No, so guys, if you are not familiar with what Chamuki Bazuki is referring to, check like 2 live streams back, I believe, or 1 live stream back, and then in between was one video, but 2 like videos back or live stream, whatever, just like go a week back. And I did a video where I was only accepting weird questions or I was answering them in a very weird way. And it was at the end like 1 hour long, and I had a lot of fun. Not sure about you all, but I had a lot of fun. Sophie, I'm good, thank you. My pleasure. So if you have any questions, let me know, Sophie. Demex, are you starting now? Basically, yeah, 4 minutes ago. So you have time to ask your questions. Ozymandias, hi Jan, thanks for sharing. You're great. Thank you very much. I'm great, although I don't have too much hair. That's not why I'm wearing the cap, for sure. Nur Hayati, question. Can my daughter and hubby apply for a long-term residence permit here in Prague if they arrive with a visitor's visa from Malaysia? Will a bridging visa be provided during application in Prague? Unless you're a Czech citizen, then no. All long-term visa applications, long-term residence permit applications first applications must be submitted through a Czech embassy. If you were an EU citizen, yes, that would be different. But if you're all non-EU citizens, then no. The max. Good, I'm on time. Yes, use it. Spend the time well. It will be another 15 minutes or so. We'll see. Depends on the amounts of questions and their quality, of course. At 10 food, I sent appeal against the rejection of my student visa 75 days ago, and I didn't receive anything until now. Do you think that they're not going to issue a decision? They probably will at some point. If there is something that the ministry does not really care about is speed and their response time. Even if it's stated by the law, like how much time they have for something, they don't really care. So yeah, 75 days, no surprise. Ozymandias, how to get. And Ozzy, what you mentioned here, you are great. How to get what? How to get what? How to get hair or what? How to get free access to the labor market. Okay, that makes more sense than how to get my hair back. How to get free access to Czech labor market. For some third country residents, such Turkey, some citizens has right to free access to the labor market. You can, well, there are a couple, okay, that's actually a good question. It just has a pretty complex answer, okay? Generally, let me see. There might be three. Let's say there are three different ways how to get free access to the labor market. First, by your nationality. Hard to change that, but that's the easiest way. Because, for example, EU citizens have free access to Czech labor market. Now, what, 11 countries have now free access to the Czech labor market. Americans, Canadians, Australians, New Zealand, Singaporeans, and 5 more. So that's just because of having a nationality, you have free access to the Czech labor market. The simplest, but very hard to change. Second would be like something you can do, and that generally, there are a couple of options as well, but generally marry an EU citizen or date them for long enough. Second, finish a Czech university or generally get a Czech degree, and then you usually get free access to the labor market. And I'm thinking if there are some, there are some other options as well. Like, for example, family members of, if you're here under family reunification and you have a residence permit based on that, you also have free access to the labor market. So there are some ways how you can get it, but they're kind of specific to the situation. So I would need to know more about your situation. And then the third one, which is even harder, I guess, to influence, would be special agreement between different countries. And that's, for example, Turkey. And that was kind of interesting because I didn't know that for quite some time. And we found it out kind of accidentally that Turkish citizens get free access to the Czech labor market after 4 years of living here, which is like very random. Like, why Turkish? Why after 4 years? Like, why free access to the Czech labor market? How is it, like, why? But it's like that, so there might be some other agreements between the Czech Republic and other countries of similar nature. So these three options. No more questions, guys? Should I go to sleep right now? We actually have a nice sofa here, and I'm still in the office. We have a nice sofa here, so I can actually like lay down and sleep here, and you can watch me and like, I don't know, comment. Anyway, so okay, thank you so much. And for the A2 language exam for trvalý pobyt, they say if you study 1 year Czech program, you don't need get exam. Is there any more questions? Could you please reply to this one too? Yeah, there are a couple exceptions for when you don't need the Czech language exam for a PR. But you need to read carefully what exactly they like entail, because that's not generally like 1 year of language program that you just like study Czech language for some time. Then if you do that, already pass the exam. I mean, A2 is not really difficult after 5 years of living here, to be honest. But if you, for example, studied, because sometimes that happens that you come here as a child and then you study Czech high school in Czech language, or you study a primary school in Czech language or whatever. So you can have this, or you came here for the preparation course for a university, you studied Czech as well, and then you study a university in Czech, but then usually you finish the university too and you have a Czech diploma and you have free access to the Czech labor market because of the diploma, not because of the language. And we are not talking about free access. So sorry, that's the PR. So in that case, yes, that could work as well. There are some other exceptions like age. If you're above 60 something, I don't know, there are different age limits for different things, like for example family reunification, the Czech language exams, some other exceptions. So I don't know, but 62 or 65, if you're above one of these ages, then you don't have to pass the exam either if you're below 15, I believe. And there are some other exceptions as well, but I don't think it really applies to like studying a Czech language for a year in some language schools. It's generally if you studied in Czech, but like some university program or something. At 10 foot, the problem in the first application is that the money was under my father's friend account, and then I sent rejection account statement for a Visa card under my name. So you think that I have a chance? Kind of depends on what type of visa you applied for. If you applied for a student visa to study from last September, probably that will not be approved anyway, because it's like a year later. If you applied for something else, potentially that might, or they might just like give it back to the ministry and like they will request all the documents from you again and stuff like that. But generally it might be potentially better if they deny your application and then you just submit it again completely. The appeals are usually, because generally you should not provide new documentation which you didn't provide to the original application for the appeal. So appeals are usually just either finding a mistake in like dealings of the Ministry of the Interior. If they, for example, say that you didn't give them a proof of accommodation, but it was in your file, they just lost it, or they just didn't see it, or whatever, or they just made it up, or whatever. So that would be the situation where you can say, hey, you made a mistake, it's not my mistake, so please change the decision. Also, you could say if they, I don't know, if you submitted the card, but there was, I don't know, it wasn't really visible who's the owner, I don't know. And then you could submit a better copy saying, okay, the embassy just made a black and white copy. Here is a color copy where you can clearly see my name, blah, blah, blah. So in situations like that, that's fine. But if the money was under your father's friend, like why? Anyway, so I don't think it might be, I don't know anything about the case, so it's hard to say if they will change the decision or not. But honestly, I don't really understand why some of you do this, that you use, like you want to use your father's friend's employer's bank account or your grandmother's like sister, bank account. If there is money somewhere, just transfer it to your account, keep it there until you get the visa approved, and then do whatever you want. But like instead of trying to find like 7 different people that's like you will connect to your bank account, just like get it transferred to your account, keep it there for 3 months, and then you're good. So this is something I've never actually really understood. I didn't really ask much, so maybe like you will tell me now that it's just wasn't possible or whatever. But the cleanest way is to have the money in your bank account. So if you have your own bank account, there is no reason to try to use even your parents' bank accounts, because you need to have the money and you need to be able to access it in the Czech Republic. So if it's in your father's account, that's great. But how you will access the money in the Czech Republic if you don't have your own card for the account, or if like the account is only valid for the country of your origin or wherever is the account, and it's not valid in the Czech Republic, so you don't have international card, you only have domestic card. So easiest is just to get the money somehow to your bank account, keep it there, and do it this way instead of trying to find, because that's always risky. I'm not saying it to like, I don't know, shame you or anything like that. It's just for the ministry, like imagine that you ask someone, okay, so hey, I want to I don't know, lend you my car, but I need some some collateral to see that you will not destroy the car, or that you will return it, that you will not steal it from me. So give me something. And if the person says, yeah, I don't have anything, but my brother's or my father's friend has something and they will give it to you if I break the car, would you trust them? But probably not. And that's the same with the bank account. If you don't have the money in your bank account, and it's not even in your close family member's bank account, it's someone else's bank account, that's already weird enough for the ministry. So it's just complicating your life unnecessarily. Second Saint, hello, will you plan to make a video about the recent Czech labor law changes? What do you think about it? Honestly, I don't care much about that. I care about it from the perspective of our employees, because we employ people as well. So from this perspective, what we need to do as an employer, what are the rules, so basic understanding, but it's not that much related to immigration, for example, or to what we do, because we don't help people find jobs. We don't revise employment contracts in the way that we would go clause by clause and see, okay, is this legal, is not legal. Anyway, so we check for what we need for the employee cards, blue cards. We check the main points that the immigration is looking for, but not really the rest. So this is not that much of an interesting topic for me, honestly. So I will probably not do a video about it. You're not the first one asking about it, so maybe yes, but it's not really something I would love to talk about. Babaria Yalpan, hi there, how are you? I'm good, how are you? Nurhati, can I confirm, once my hubby gets an approved long-term residence permit, he can come to Prague and work immediately? Potentially yes. You just need to there are two things. I was actually training a new colleague earlier today, and we talked about this exactly. One thing is that you must meet the condition. So for example, for the employee card, it's the 6 months. And second thing is that you must fill in the correct thing in the application form, because there are two types of, say, family reunification. One is family, rodinný, and one is family reunification, soužití rodiny. And if you use the incorrect one, then even if your husband gets a residence permit, it will be without free access to the labor market. So you also need to be careful about what word you use in the application form. Second Saint, next year I think there will be an EU law that will obligate companies to put salaries on job postings. Do you think companies will follow the law? They will have to. If that's a law, they will have to. Because unless the government... companies usually have to follow the law. So yeah, no, and I don't see anything bad about that. And if everyone does it, and there will be some company that will not do that, that will already look shady, and I think not many people will be interested in applying for the job there anyway. So yeah, this usually works, unless it's something very, I don't know how to put it, very distant from people. Then usually companies follow that. Of course, depends on the company. Generally, the big companies follow it because they are under a microscope from all the different authorities. So if they didn't do it, they would pay some high fines. So they will definitely do it, and then the smaller ones will follow eventually. Chamuki Bazuki, have you ever heard an American speak Czech fluently? That's a dangerous question. Fluently, yes. Without an accent, probably not. We've had some clients, not too many, but we've had some clients who spoke Czech, good enough to have a conversation and go buy something in the shops, and the normal everyday conversation. So yes, but not too many, and not without an accent, which I don't mind, because I also have an accent in English, Czech accent, as I've been told a couple times. So that's completely fine. But yeah. I'm thinking if I've heard any other like foreigner speak fluent Czech without like without accent. Probably, and definitely if someone's watching and he's our client or she's our client, they are our client, and they speak fluent Czech, they will hate me now. So please write it in the comments and I will make it right the next time. Just keep in mind it's almost 11, which is a time when I'm already usually asleep. So bear with me, guys. Sakshi, where are you from? And what's going on? I'm from the Czech Republic, from Prague, and I'm an immigration expert. I co-own an immigration and relocation company, Move to Prague Relocation Services, and we help people with move into the Czech Republic in terms of visas and everything related to that, finding accommodation, getting health insurance, starting a business here, all these kind of things. Second thing, also, if I have the rent contract and have it verified true copy, do I still need the proof of accommodation document? Or can I use the certified true copy rent contract for change of address in MOI? You can use either, just depends what you're trying to do. Because in some cases, it's better to use the lease agreement, especially if the rent is lower than the general numbers. In some cases, it's better to use the proof of accommodation. For example, if your lease is significantly, or rent is significantly higher than the general numbers. So, but you can technically use both or either. I'm not understanding. Yes, independent. What? Anyway, Nurhayati employee card application was done via my company. Took 2 weeks to be approved by MOI. I'm Malaysian. That's great. You're probably one of 5 people who got it approved in 2 weeks. How long do you think it will take for long-term residence permit for my spouse and daughter? Generally, if it's a long-term residence permit, they have up to 270 days, but usually it goes faster. But I guess you went through a program, because this would be super fast. Like your application, if you applied in Malaysia in 2 weeks, your application would not even be in the Czech Republic if you went through the normal processes. So I believe your employer was part of some governmental program, and then your family could have potentially applied back then with you. But if they didn't, then now they will be under like a normal standard application process. So I would say, if I should guess, I would say 60 days, but officially the ministry has 270 days, but usually they make the decisions sooner. Bavaria, Japan, do you know any agencies that recruit from abroad? Not any. Trustworthy? Itan, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. Can I travel from Czech to Poland or other Shanghai country? Not sure about Shanghai, but to Schengen depends on what kind of visa you have here. If you have a long-term visa or long-term residence permit or permanent residence permit, then you can. If you come under a short-term visa, hard to say, because that depends on the short-term visa, if it's like one entry or multiple entries, if it's for country specific or if it's like the whole Schengen visa, so it depends. Tigran, hey, if a person is a blue card holder and was terminated, does he need to somehow inform immigration authority and how he must do it? Of course, you always need to report changes of employment, and you have to do it within 3 days after the change happens. So if your employment ends, maximum 3 days later, you have to report it to the ministry. Then if you get a new job, you have to report it to the ministry latest in 3 days after you started. Otherwise, the blue card could be cancelled. Employee card cannot be cancelled if you report it late in some form, but blue card could. So be careful about that. It's a simple form, so nothing too complicated, but definitely make sure you do it in time. At 10 Food, I explained in the appeal that I wasn't able to open a bank account under my name because of my Syrian nationality. Yeah, that sucks. That's difficult. We had similar issue with not Madagascar. What's the other island there? Come on, it's too late for me, guys, now. Anyway, Mauritius. We had clients from Mauritius, and it was also super difficult for them to open a bank account. other countries as well. There is a blacklist. So I sent a bank account statement from my father's friend bank account. Yeah. Okay, that's a good reason, but it might be good to explain it already when you're submitting the application. If you haven't done that or didn't do that, it might be better. So they don't have to come up with their own. Like if you communicate with the Ministry of the Interior, imagine you're speaking to 8 years old. So you cannot leave anything to their imagination. You can always, or you have to give them exactly the information you want them to have. If you leave something for interpretation, they will interpret it in the way they want and not that's beneficial for you, or that's not necessarily always aligned. Black. I have a question to ask, so ask it, go for it. Aitana, how many days will take long-term visa after interview for African applicants? Depends on what kind of visa. There are different visa types, there are different residence permit types, and they have all different approval times. What I recommend, either write me the exact type and I will answer now, but if you go to my channel somewhere, I've done a couple of videos. One is called The Biggest Lie in Czech Immigration, which is about the approval times, where I explain that even if something should take 60 days, it can take 6 months. But I go through all the different approval times there. Black. I don't know how to pronounce, sorry. I did once came to Vienna to study, but I didn't finish the study due to some issues back home, so I've returned back home. I realize Czech has a more cheaper school and that teach in English. Do you think, after getting admission from school in Prague, do you think the embassy will still grant visa, hence I didn't finish my studies? Depends on how it went in Austria, because if you just like left the school, left the country, you didn't like report anything, yes, that could potentially have impact on other applications as well. But if you said, hey, I cannot study anymore, here is your residence card, or please cancel my visa, I'm going back home, I'm going back home, they just canceled your visa normally, legally, properly, and you should be completely fine. So it depends on like how you ended the relationship with Austria. At 10 food, at first I thought the bank account statement is mandatory, and then I discovered that if I held a Visa card from non-financial company, I can send an account statement from this card under my name as well. Kind of, I guess, depends on what institution that would be. Chamuki Bazuki, how horrible does the American accent sound in Czech? I don't think it's terrible, guys. I don't want to spread like any hate here, as I explained in the previous video. I mean, look at this way. I know people who've been here for 10 years and they don't even try to speak Czech. And I think, honestly, that is way worse than if you speak Czech with an accent. Because I've been speaking English for, I don't know, what am I, 37? So probably 27 years, something like that. But I started learning when I was in a 4th grade, which is, I don't know, 10 years old, 11 years old, whatever. Something like that. So I kind of can express myself freely and I understand everything like native speakers from all the different countries with different accents, and I still have an accent. So I see myself as an efficient user of English, but you will always tell that I'm not native. Wherever I go, US, Britain, Australia, South Africa, wherever, you can always tell I have an accent. And I think I speak pretty good English. And that goes the other way. If you speak Czech and you have an accent, no problem with that at all. You know, if you've been here your whole life, probably not, that would be worse. But if you've been here for 10 years and you don't even try to speak, that's a different story. That's kind of, I find it a bit, of course, I'm not saying everyone, because now someone can say, yeah, but I have some like problems. I cannot learn languages. Of course, there are people like that who just cannot speak, but I'm not, or they cannot learn new languages, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about situations where you like actively choose not to speak and not to even try. But anyway, that's everyone's choice. So I don't think that having an accent, American or any other, in Czech is something we should be laughing at or like whatever else. It's great if someone actually speaks Czech who is not a Czech speaker originally. Norhati, yes, correct. The employer card was done via governmental program. Thanks as always for your response advice. Insightful as always. My pleasure. Let's see how many. Fuck, there are so many questions. So, okay, guys, it's 30 minutes. It's way past my bedtime. So, Tigran will be the last question I'll answer. Before that, Minwer, and that everything before that. But Tigran will be the last one, okay? So, let's go back to your questions. Fuck, so many. That's good. Babaria Jalpan. My long-term student visa appointment was on 3rd. Until how long do I have to keep the funds in my bank? Until you get approved, for sure. Because the ministry can anytime request a fresher bank statement showing that you still have the money and that you just didn't borrow it from someone and then like send it back. So definitely until you get approved completely. Osama Mahdi, what do you think of a student who has a bank account, a Saudi account, and a dollar account with the amount of about $2,000 and has a sponsor from America, a support paper signed by Kurt, a support paper signed by Kurt America, and also send in bonds from the sponsor to the students? Are these things very supportive to the embassy? I don't think they care much because you need to have enough money in your bank account, and for a student it's 120,000 crowns, which is, I don't know, $6,000, something like that at this rate or the exchange rate. So if you have 12,000 US dollars in your own bank account with an international bank card, that's completely fine and you don't need to show anything else. Prem Kumaran Namakal Veramani. Hi. The Max. What would you recommend for someone who's living for a few years in other EU country to come to Czech Republic for job purpose, as companies are very reluctant to do the vacancy ID process? That's a tough question or a tough answer to that. Keep looking until you find a company that is willing to hire you and help you with the process, and maybe increase your what you're bringing to the table, because there are some jobs that are in demand. So it depends. If you want to stick to the field where you're in, then just keep looking until you find someone. There might be also good option to come here in person, because it might help in some cases that a company sees you in person, you can actually speak with someone. There might be more open to hiring you than if they just see your CV you sent through some website or an email, or even if they have a call with you, might still be better if they see you in person. You might also get opportunities that you don't find online, because some companies, of course, like a lot of companies advertise online, like that's a standard now, but you can still find advertisements somewhere else. I've done a video about that as well, so just go to my channel and check jobs in Czech Republic or something, or the best places to find jobs in the Czech Republic, and I have a video specifically about this topic. Or then, like, if you don't mind, if you don't necessarily need to work in the field where you're at now, then maybe change qualifications for something that is really in demand in the Czech Republic. That would be drivers of buses. That's a crazy job. They will pay you like 70, 80,000 crowns a month, and they cannot find people. So there are a lot of Indians, for example, now, and other like Filipinos as well, and other nationalities driving buses in the Czech Republic. So that's a very in-demand job. And also like driving trucks, but buses, that's a big topic now. Second, welders. That's very, very high demand job as well. And then of course, like software developers, testers, all these kind of like IT professions as well. So if you don't mind, then maybe change qualifications according to what the Czech market is looking for, and that will definitely increase your chances as well. Krem Kumaran Namakal Veeramani. I received a work permit or contract, but the Indian embassy told that the employer has to take an appointment. Yeah, you got scammed as a million other people that visit my live streams. Yeah, that should be your first question. Can you get me an appointment? Are you in a governmental program? If the company says no, never pay them anything, because having a work permit, employment contract doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. You cannot get an appointment, so you will never get here. So unfortunately, most likely you've been scammed. Black. I left before July last year while the residence expired October. I left July 18, my residence expired October when I was back home, but I later returned the card to the embassy and also gave them my stamp of my passport that shows I left. Sounds okay. Sounds okay. Like the Czech system could only see if you had some serious trouble there. So if they like deported you from Austria or something like that. So if you left like just 2 months before your visa expiration or residence expiration, you then return the card, you did it this way, you should be completely fine for the Czech application. Minver. Hello, I have permanent residence after 5 years living in Czech Republic as a third country citizen. If I stay of Czech more than 6 months in a year, would it be a problem when applying for citizenship? And see if there is more. Not necessarily for the citizenship. Let me see if there are any. There is no like real requirement for that, I believe. You just need to show where you've been. You need to make a list of all your travels, so they will see that you were not here. But the point is that you need to be well integrated into the Czech society. So if you have like the PR for 5 years, but 4 years out of that you've been living somewhere else, that does not really seem like you are really trying to integrate into the Czech society. So it's not that much about like some requirements. Like for example, for the PR, you can only have like 310 days outside of the Czech Republic. There is nothing like that for the citizenship as far as I'm aware. But if you spend extended amount of time outside of the Czech Republic, that might kind of jeopardize the application from the perspective of like not really being integrated here if you spend like most of your time somewhere else. And Tigran, that's the last question which I promised to answer. So I'll be doing it now. I know that there are some more questions, guys, but I'm way past my bedtime, so I need to go home and sleep. I'm still in the office. So Tigran, the last question. I have been in the immigration office today, and at the information desk I was told that in case of blue card I don't need to go to do anything. How can I contact you to go forward through this process? Tigran, that was the change of employer, right? I think so. That was because there was the only blue card question. Blue card holder, yeah. Get in touch if you go to somewhere else. Still don't know where to click, but you should see some way to click to my channel. And if you go to the description of the channel, there is a contact form which you can fill in and ask your question. So just do that, and we'll be happy to help with that. And guys, thank you very much for joining today. Thank you very much for being here, and good night now. And I will see you again Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.